What if I told you that for over 20 years, the United States government spent millions of dollars training psychic spies? That the CIA, DIA, and other intelligence agencies believe so strongly in remote viewing that they built an entire program around it? You probably think I was crazy, but it's all true, and it's all documented. From 1978 to 1995, the U.S. military ran a top-secret program called Project Stargate. The goal was simple: train soldiers and civilians to see targets thousands of miles away using nothing but their minds. No satellites, no surveillance equipment, just pure psychic ability. And here's the really crazy part: sometimes it actually worked. It all started with fear. In the 1970s, intelligence reports suggested that the Soviet Union was pouring resources into psychic research. They were allegedly training remote viewers who could spy on American military installations without ever leaving Moscow. The reports were terrifying. Soviet psychics could supposedly see inside the Pentagon, read classified documents, and even influence the minds of American officials. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The U.S. couldn't afford to fall behind in what some called the psychic arms race. So in 1978, the Defense Intelligence Agency launched a small, highly classified program at Stanford Research Institute in California. They called it Project Stargate, and its mission was to determine whether psychic phenomena could be weaponized for intelligence gathering. The program started with just a handful of researchers and test subjects. But over the next 2 decades, it would grow into a multi-million-dollar operation, involving dozens of remote viewers and some of the most classified intelligence operations in American history. Remote viewing, as defined by the Stargate program, is the ability to perceive and describe distant locations, objects, or events without using the normal 5 senses. It is not mind reading or fortune telling. It is supposedly a trainable skill that allows the viewer to access information about targets they've never seen. The process was surprisingly structured. Remote viewers weren't given any information about their targets, just a set of random coordinates. They would enter a meditative state and begin describing whatever images, sensations, or impressions came to mind. The descriptions were often vague and symbolic. A viewer might describe something tall and metallic, or a sense of movement and machinery. It was up to analysts to interpret these impressions and determine if they matched real-world targets. Dr. Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ, the physicists who developed the program's protocols, insisted this wasn't pseudoscience. They claimed remote viewing operated through quantum mechanics, that consciousness could somehow access information stored in what they called the quantum field. Whether the science was sound or not, the military was interested in results. And sometimes, those results were remarkable. The program's most famous participant was Joe McMoneagle, a former Army intelligence officer who became known as Remote Viewer 001. McMoneagle claimed he developed psychic abilities after a near-death experience in 1970. His most celebrated success came in 1979, when he was given coordinates and asked to describe what he saw. McMoneagle sketched a massive submarine under construction, bigger than any sub the U.S. had ever built. He drew 2 hulls surrounded by a larger outer hull, a design that seemed impossible. 6 months later, satellite photos confirmed McMoneagle was right. The Soviets were building the Typhoon-class submarine, the largest submarine ever constructed, and it looked exactly like his drawings. Another star viewer was Pat Price, a former police commissioner who demonstrated remarkable accuracy in describing distant locations. During one test, Price was given coordinates for a Soviet research facility. He described underground installations, specific equipment, and even the color of a building's roof, details later confirmed by satellite imagery. Ingo Swann, an artist and self-proclaimed psychic, helped develop many of the program's training methods. Swann claimed he could not only view distant locations, but actually influence physical objects with his mind. While his influence claims were never verified, his remote viewing abilities impressed even skeptical researchers. For nearly 2 decades, Stargate remote viewers were tasked with real intelligence missions. They searched for missing aircraft, located hostages, and tried to penetrate enemy installations. The results were mixed, but some successes were genuinely impressive. In 1981, remote viewers helped locate a downed Soviet bomber in Africa. In 1987, they provided intelligence about Libyan chemical weapons facilities. During the Gulf War, viewers attempted to locate Scud missile launchers and predict Saddam Hussein's movements, but for every success, there were dozens of failures. Remote viewers described targets that didn't exist, missed obvious details, and provided information that was completely wrong. Critics argued that the few successes could be explained by chance, educated guessing, or unconscious cues from handlers. The program's defenders pointed out that even a 20% success rate would be valuable for intelligence gathering. Traditional spy satellites and human intelligence also failed regularly, but nobody questioned their usefulness. By the 1990s, the Cold War was over and budget pressures were mounting. The CIA commissioned an independent review of Project Stargate, led by statistician Jessica Utz and psychologist Ray Hyman. Their conclusions were contradictory. Utz found statistical evidence that remote viewing produced results better than chance. Hyman acknowledged the statistical anomalies, but argued they could be explained by flawed methodology and experimenter bias. In 1995, the CIA officially terminated Project Stargate. The final report concluded that while some remote viewing results were intriguing, the phenomenon was not reliable enough for intelligence operations. But the story didn't end there. Many former participants insist the program was shut down, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. They claim the military moved psychic research into even more classified black programs that continue today. Today, Project Stargate remains one of the most controversial programs in intelligence history. Believers point to documented successes and argue that consciousness research was abandoned just as it was beginning to show promise. Skeptics maintain that the entire program was a waste of taxpayer money based on wishful thinking and poor science. They argue that any apparent successes can be explained by coincidence, cold reading techniques, or information leakage. What's undeniable is that for 17 years, the world's most powerful military believed strongly enough in psychic phenomena to spend millions of dollars researching it. Whether that faith was justified or misguided depends on who you ask. The truth about Project Stargate may never be fully known. Many documents remain classified, and key participants have taken their secrets to the grave. But the program's existence proves that even the most rational institutions can be driven to explore the impossible when national security is at stake. So what do you think? Was Project Stargate a groundbreaking exploration of human consciousness, or an expensive exercise in self-deception? Did remote viewers really glimpse distant targets with their minds, or were they just very good at educated guessing? The evidence is contradictory, the science is questionable, and the results are debatable. But one thing is certain: for nearly 2 decades, the US government believed that the power of the human mind could be weaponized. And maybe, just maybe, they were right.